Um, not a right and wrong way to play, but there is an intent. There is an intent of what the game designers want people to get out of their game. And Minecraft's interesting to me because it is crafting games have a sort of purity of purpose. It speaks to something very fundamental about people and people that like to create and make something out of nothing. I mean, it's been described before. It's not a hot take or anything. That it's Legos. It's that same impulse as having your Legos. Things that you can just sit down for a session and think abstractly about what you can make and what you can imagine these little blocks are. And as it gets more developed, it certainly veers a little bit away from that original concept. And I'll be honest, I'm sure that there was more to the expectation of what this game would become when the designers first conceived of it. But it is a beautiful example, in my opinion, of simplicity of form resulting in a very universal creative experience. Everyone can get something a little bit differently out of it. I find that us Nerdsmith folks, when we're playing, we tend to gravitate towards these games. There's something to be said for cooperative gameplay. I am, of course, a huge fan of it, even in video games. It is so the Nerdsmith folks, we play a lot of Minecraft now, but we've been playing Raft, which is really wonderful. It's a like a desert island game, except you're constantly moving because you're on a raft, which is also another really good example of sort of in a team setting getting what you want out of it. And there's not really a set aim there. It's sort of the exploration. Hi, Rhiannon. It's the exploration motive. It's the just kind of wanting to see what's there. So you pursue going further into the world and seeing what has been intentionally built and sort of the narratives that can arise from a complete lack of narrative. And Minecraft does that really nicely when there is a human component added to it, as well as just sort of naturally with the AI. And yeah, Raft is fabulous. It's so simple and very zen, much in the way that Minecraft can be very zen. Like I'm just, you're sort of just staring at blocks of tree leaves for an extended period of time while, for example, deconstructing a tree that I probably shouldn't have broken down in the first place. I loved how big this thing got, but I need the wood, so sacrifices needed to be made. And now I'm in the tree, and there's every chance that the tree could start despawning at any point because I don't know where all of the... I'm not sure where all the branches are. Oh, I think it's thinning. Okay, I think I got it. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, I love crafting games. I love these sandbox games. I'm just sort of chatting, free associating right now while I'm working on some stuff. Oh, that's actually a potato. Not a raw, but oh, that's not even a raw. Nice. Anyway, so I say so as if I had a plan here. I am currently, apparently turning into a horse girl because I made a stable and have been collecting horses. And probably instituting a breeding program at some point. Not that there's a ton of specific you can do. Oh, thank you, Rhiannon. I appreciate that. I'd love to see what you're building if you have a server or something. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, so Malkuth, that's kind of what I wanted to get at. There's not really so much a story here. And what's kind of interesting about these sort of games is that I guess the best example would be just to kind of talk through what our experience so far has been playing this game. So there's a couple of angles here. We on this server have a few people who are incredibly knowledgeable about this game. They've been playing for a very long time. They're on other servers. They know all the tricks and tips and exploits to get things to work in the game, because kind of figuring out the physics is half the challenge of this game, is sort of figuring out how to work with the world. And so we have a couple of people on this server who really know their stuff. They are very, very good at certain things, but everybody has kind of fit into a niche, which is really lovely. Not saying that people can't be good at multiple things, or that they need to bring something specific to the community, as it were, but it's been so fascinating to have at least, oh, Logan's on right now. Hi, Logan. I'm streaming for the power hour. Say hi to our audience. So we have, like I said, probably like 10 people on the server. I knew he was gonna do that. We have like 10 people on this server, and I can just give you some examples of the ooh, I like this. See, Rhiannon, I'm kind of like that too. And then I saw a couple of projects that I really wanted to do, and I'll go through it. But so we have a bunch of people that really, aw, Logan's getting all sentimental today. I enjoy that. So anyway, sorry, I keep getting distracted because walking, talking, and chatting. Yes, we have only been on this server for about a month, and we have achieved a lot. And by achieve, what's really nice about crafting games, you kind of set your own standards. You set your own definitions for what success or what end game is for you, we are a very well-behaved server, as Logan so eloquently put down there. So yeah, we're very much about, sharing resources and sharing ideas and working together on little projects, and I very much appreciate that. So what was I gonna say? Talking about the idea that people fall into different niches in the game, and I won't name names. I'll just start like kind of listing some of the things that I've encountered with our group. So we have someone who, at least at first, sort of decided to engage in the game only in the capacity of sort of a support character is probably the wrong way to phrase it. But they really got into the cooking. Sorry, random dungeon noises. They really got into the cooking aspect of the game. And so that was what they focused on. And that's very supportive of the other players, allowing us to heal up and have good quality food that lasts a long time. So that was one way to engage with the game, is in a more cooperative sense. We also have somebody who is very interested in creating interesting aesthetic design choices that make the world feel more detailed, and I can go show you an example of that. The idea of something that feels like it could exist in this space, but is maybe more carefully curated than what is procedurally generated in Minecraft. You can tell this is where I keep my horse stuff. Oh, by the way, and so here, and then I have found that everyone's been ducking in and out of different things. Oh, hi. Okay, I guess we changed the difficulty on the server, because now people have armor. That's great. Anyway, so I have found that I have fluctuated a little bit between different modes of play, which is also really interesting from a game design perspective. That this game has adventure mode. You could go seek things out to go fight it. There's a dragon at the end of the game. At the end, it's literally called The End. One person we call the Road Warrior because he loves connecting everyone's bases to each other and the generated villages with safe and lit roads. I love that. That is delightful. I have that impulse too. I found a couple of designs that I really liked. So some of these trees have glowstone built into them to try to minimize. I might start making some jack-o'-lanterns too and put those in the trees. Well, and that's what I'm going to talk about, Logan. The idea that we're all approaching the game very differently, and also transforming our game experiences. So this is something I made. Again, most of my stuff's from YouTube tutorials. So this is a horse testing facility. These are some stables that are actually, if you go through them, you can see that they're labeled with jump height, speed, running speed, and how much HP they have. So you can go through and pick out a horse. I am filtering them, so the ones that have the best stats, I'm going to put in the stables. The ones that don't have the best stats, I'm going to make a big yard for people, or for them to run around and graze. I'm going to give them like a nice big space, but I'm probably going to fence it in just so that if anybody really wants to, they can... Yeah, because I don't know. I like the idea of a sort of a controlled open herd. Oh, hi. Okay, excuse me. Oh, you have an enchanted bow. That's cool. I want it. Can I have it? Maybe? No. Oh, you son of a bitch. So this came from the idea of I wanted a stable. I wanted something neat, and I'm working on the roof right now. But I really dug the horses, and I found a horse, and it was just like the most fun way to get around for me until I discovered flying, which is delightful. Bye, Heather. Thank you for stopping by. This is my racetrack. This is my little, it's very steep racetrack. Okay, so here's another example of how you can interact with this game. There are animals, and the animals have AI and different needs and behaviors, which, obviously are just a bunch of ones and zeros. And, but the idea that you could engage with this game in a way that is, say, like this. I have animals. I'm going to go take them for a run, or I want them to be happy, so I'm going to make them free range, and anthropomorphizing animals that are basically just a bunch of pixels, and engaging with the game like a farm simulator. That is 100% valid way to play this game, which I really, really like. I like doing that. Oh, I was doing this to show off my horse testing. So this guy doesn't jump very high, so it's hard to get over the fences. So this is a speed test. The signs go from 1 to 15 blocks, which I need to fix that sign. And what happens is this pressure plate opens all the gates. And unfortunately, horses can't run through, but they can run to the side of a gate. And the gate will actually stop the horse when you get to a certain point. So if I run over it, run my horse through the gate, it'll stop. And they stopped at the number 11, and that is the speed of this horse. It doesn't really translate to a ton. I know that some people do meters per second because each block is treated as a meter, which is fine. But this numeric system is purely for comparison's sake. It's not really for the sake of some sort of objective number. And I put it away again. Well, I'll show off one of my better horses. So the idea here is that the horse This is Cowhorse. I like him very much. I believe he's the one with the good height. Yeah, he's the one with the good jump height. So this is a jumping test, and you try to get them to jump on that sweet zone, and then you can see. Oh, that wasn't the best jump you have, buddy. There we go. 4. You can get up to 4 if you try really hard. And that's just a way of testing how high they can jump. And that's another one of the tests. And then see, for example, he can get to 4. He actually got to 15. So he's good. I like this horse a lot. We're going to take him out for a little while. All right, so let's continue talking about different ways of interacting with this game. So you mentioned, Rhiannon, that I actually really like the interactions of living with the land. There is enough pre-generated content in Minecraft, villages, and yeah. I don't know if we still know who did this. It's a mystery. And no one's come forward, but it's quite delightful. Anyway, so just exploring what is already existing in this world. This was my first foray into horse farming. I will eventually move all these to get some testing done for them. Interacting with the world as it exists, just playing around without the awareness that you essentially have the ability to turn things into whatever you want. I really want to make a treehouse at the top now. That is definitely a way to play this, and I like playing like that, and you're certainly playing like that a little bit at the beginning, where you have very limited resources and limited capacity to do certain things. There is magic in this world now, so enchantments and things. So engaging with the game in a narrative sort of way, a little bit like Raft, where you're sort of bound by certain restrictions, but within those restrictions you can start making a life for yourself, kind of. Which I do like playing the game like that. Well, I have things that break the game, like being able to fly, which I can now, and I will share if folks haven't seen that. It is a very different experience. It breaks the immersion for me a little bit, but I do still enjoy it. No, I shouldn't make that. Let her go. I do very much still enjoy the flight and stuff, but it is a very different animal than moving around on land, even by minecart, things like that. But I'll just go through here. Looking at our village is probably a very good way of kind of talking about the different modes of interacting with this game. So this is my place. What happened was we had a village that was in this sort of plains area. And we spread out from there. Everybody kind of took a spot in the village, built out a little bit. Man, I remember, wow, this place, yeah, we've literally been playing for a month and it got huge. So what I did was I ran to the desert and found this mountain, this big hill. And this big hill had a big facade of sand on it. And I thought, oh, well, that would be really cool to make some sort of sand temple. So I took apart all the sand and the sandstone and built a more, like, permanent thing. And this is a newer contraption. I have been getting a little bit into... Oh, thank you, Tessa. It's BD Vanilla Craft. I really like it. It's got this kind of cartoony vibe. This is some redstone engineering that I've been playing around with. I got it from a YouTube video. Okay, so there's another thing. I love the community. The people that create things and then share their creations with the greater community so that other people can build off of those things. I am a big fan of having directions for certain things. Excuse me. So anyway, this is my house. This is my main base. I have a bedroom with a little decoration, some music. I have a cat room, which cats. And And this is my sort of, so that's the kitten room. I haven't really, yeah, probably Rhiannon. No one's taken me up on this offer of paying me to visit the cats, but that's fine. Um, so just a means of organizing. I decided I wanted to have an aquarium. The turtles were quite an adventure. I'm going to be expanding this out a little bit so they have some more breeding room. Right now they only have a tiny little patch of sand. And so functionally, but also trying to make things look pretty. I had an enchanting space with a little bench, I guess, for people to watch you enchant. I don't know. There's a subway that takes you out to the village, which we can take. And over here, one of my favorite things to do is making water elevators that you utilize some features in order to make an up and down water elevator. So this is my portal. I want to make it a little more substantial and cool looking, but I tried building it into the wall as best I could. It's also toggleable, which is fun. You can turn it off and on, which is fun to do. And then this will turn it back on. It's pretty fun. This was just a pool of lava, and I really liked the aesthetic of it, but I kept falling in, so I went for glass. And yeah, so that's my tunnel, and there's nothing up there. I really have to get rid of that or build something there. But this is actually what I've been doing newer. I've been getting into some furniture design and some like fun little like prop placement things. So this is my little pergola, my little gazebo garden party. If you look, there's a fish on a plate, and I don't know what that's going to be yet. But things like making something look like a grill with food on it is very fun. So I've got that. I've got my little grill set up. There's a fridge where you can keep some food in the ice boxes. That's not really well designed. I kind of wanted those to go side by side. This is like a little garden space. And so yeah, I enjoyed that quite a bit. But so that's what I've been doing a lot of is kind of like little furniture things. When you get past the I want to build grand structures, you end up with I'm building a little patio. Other people decide they want to build in the way of like the ancients. They wish to make monuments to their greatness, and so there's big giant features in the water fountain or water elevator. So this is my above on the top of the hill. I made a garden. I'm gonna work on at some point this bonfire, make it a little more interesting. So the things you see out here are all built by different people. There are a couple of, like I said, we have like 10 people on the server. So right directly ahead, right here, that is a very massive library. It's beautiful. I'll go show you. But that is an example of somebody who I have to assume that he used a plan or some sort of inspiration for this. If he did it on his own, just completely out of his brain, I'm so freaking impressed. Regardless, I'm super freaking impressed. But it's really beautiful. It feels like an elevation of the aesthetics of what is generated within Minecraft, but it still feels possible. You know, it's that difference between something that looks like Legos or looks like something modded the game into abstraction, and is just something that the game can do itself. It's this nice little balance between those. Over here, speaking of the devil, X Grimsby, that's Kyle. This is Kyle's inverted pyramid, which is a lot more experimental looking. It doesn't necessarily blend with, like, it doesn't feel like it natively belongs there, but it is really fun, and it's just an interesting design choice, and he made a lot of very specific design choices with it that I appreciate. This is a tower in the middle of a desert farm. I wish there was a telescope. It's a desert village that we found, really close to the other village. And it has been sort of co-opted. I made a wall around it to protect it from raiders, and on the end there, that big sort of skyscrapery place, that is Alright, bye, Rhiannon. Thanks for chatting. I'm excited. Oh, thank you. Next Twitch Sings is on Friday, so come hang out. We'll have, hopefully, some other Nerdsmith creators, so I'm very much looking forward to it. So, let's see. Oh. Alright, so I've got an Elytra, which breaks a little bit of the game, I think, but is very cool. We're gonna run headfirst into my lighthouse, because I apparently... Come on, fish... There we go. Alright, so this is one of my pet projects. Yay, this is gonna be in singing. So this is my lighthouse. It is... I didn't do the beacon, though. That was someone else. I thought this peninsula was missing something, and I decided I wanted there to be a... If you had enough draw distance, you could see it from the distance. Which I enjoy very much. Trying to think of what some of the other folks... Okay, so we also have very efficiency-minded folks on the server, people who want to make, you know, that next technological advance so that they can get to the next checkpoint, sort of in the evolution tier of having tech in this game. I've been wandering around and doing a bunch of stuff. So this is my Ice King mountain glacier that I made. Looks like the Ice King's mountain in Adventure Time with a little bulbous bit to it. But his eyes light up at night. I'm so proud. He's got some fire behind it. His eyes. Tessa, already described you as initially starting in a more sort of support role, because you were doing a lot of you were off in your corner doing food stuff, like making, cooking and stuff, which is a completely legitimate way to interact with this game. While hearing people in chat, you know, doing like more dangerous stuff or exploring a little bit beyond the boundaries, creating a doing sort of the problem solving of making stuff and the productivity of that. That's certainly a completely fun and valid way to play with the game. Oh, sorry. So I guess what I wanted to set out to do when I decided to load this up today, partly because I wanted to get a little stuff done, but it's hard to do that while talking, I realized. Props to Minecrafters and other video game streamers who can just hold long conversations. But the thing I wanted to get to was the idea that when you're playing a game like this, you imbue your own meaning into it. You are able to craft your own experience in the game. And by being able to curate by being able to curate your own experience in the game, you enable the game enables you to sort of set your own goals and set your own measure for success. I know a lot of people... Minecraft might seem a little unusual or boring to some people because, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't have a win condition. There is sort of a path you can take that, I guess, has the illusion of a win condition. You get, like, achievements and stuff now. But really, those are just kind of showing where you are on the tech tree. But the idea of making your own fun being built into this game, and the minimalism in this... I'm gonna breed some chickens. We'll leave them alone. Let them do their thing. Hey, little chicken. You're very cute. Thank you. Hey, Mr. Blanks. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, and hopefully you are ready to go. So something's erroring, so I'm gonna disconnect from the game real quick and rejoin. Something was breaking. That happens sometime on our server. There we go. Now I'm standing. And sliding around, though. I'm gonna close that gate. You guys just hang out. So what's really fascinating to me yeah, is the way that, as we've been talking, you can create your own fun. You have the capacity to create an adventure scenario. You have the capacity to create a purely creative Lego-like experience. You can find something in the middle. You can be one with the natural world. You can terraform it to your own ends. You can tame animals. You can just be a person. You can go hunting monsters. There are how many biomes? You could decide you have a biome preference. You like the Arctic, so you want to go build snowmen and igloos and stuff, which is actually something I wanted to go do right now. So I'm gonna make an igloo. If you can't tell, I have an axe. Yes, you can beat up chickens or throw chickens at people, which is something somebody on this server likes to do a lot. That's the most griefing that happens in this game is somebody just makes a chicken. So let's see, we're gonna do a little igloo. Gonna go. Boop. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, that was too much. Too much silk touch. Anyway, the idea that one can craft their own destiny. Sound like a advertisement for the game. But it's true. It's a game that has a lot of replayability because every time you hop into it, you can do something different. I feel like I want to fix this a little bit. One more out. There we go. I feel like I'm just meandering. If this is interesting to anyone, please let me know. Because I'd be surprised. Yeah, I mean, just traveling the world to see what's out there is... Oh, that's so... I love the snow. It's so neat. Just exploring to see what's there, you know? That is absolutely 100% a valid exploration method in this game. But yeah, it's just a neat... It's a neat case study in emergent gameplay, where an emergent gameplay is a concept of, again, what we've been talking about, the idea of narrative not being set, but it being informed by the experiences in the game. This is fun. It's a fun little... I happen to have some ice, so I can fix this. Probably want to put some snow underneath it or around it. Sort of the intention here was to make a little bit more of a igloo experience. I was just using the ice because I had... Oh, God. Okay. I was using the ice because I had the ice. Oh yeah, Fallout 4, they knew what they were doing with that aspect of the game, that people liked sort of terraforming this wasteland, and that is that was definitely something I got really into. But it does a couple of things. It gives you the opportunity to feel more immersed in the world, even if what you're doing is kind of ridiculous. You feel invested when you're building a space of your own. You know, you name it, or you decide, oh well, these NPCs need a place to crash, so I'm gonna make that for them. Uh, there's a lot of replayability possible when you allow people to kind of play in your space in lots of different ways. A recent example that comes to mind for me is The Witcher with Gwent. It is a card game in the middle of a game, and personally, and this is because this is not a feature meant for me. That is an activity that infuriates me. I don't want to play a game. I don't want to play a card game while I'm playing a game. That's not a thing I want to do. But that's just me. But that's not everybody. Other people are flippin' ecstatic at the prospect of being able to play Gwent, which adds a level of fun, immersion, or extra activity into the game that didn't otherwise exist. But you can play, however, I probably clocked in 90 hours into The Witcher 3. You can play so much of that game and never touch the main story if you choose to do that. I guess it's not an illusion of choice. It is choice. But sort of planning for options, let's say. It's nice to have a game consider the variation of people that exist and what sort of game experience some people want to have. Because once people find that they can play in the world and make their own way in it the way they want to experience it, like I said, they become way more invested. WoW is a good example. Rather, I'm surprised by that example, because my brain didn't for a long time perceive that as a game that did that. That gave a lot of variation and option in how you encounter, or how do you interact with it. But it does. And so let's see. I'll leave this alone because I don't have another. I don't have more snow. I built these clouds out of wool. They're fun. Malkuth, that is an excellent point. A good example of that I've encountered relatively frequently is in the people who have shoot, that was not the block I wanted to use. People creating original characters, like creating narratives within their video games for their protagonists. That is a good example of creating narrative where there might not have been. I've definitely had that experience before. One thing that I had done way back in the day was, as a creative writing exercise, I had made a character in Elder Scrolls Skyrim that I just thought was aesthetically really interesting. She had no hair, her eyes were entirely black, and she had this her face paint or war paint that she had was this handprint over her face or over her mouth. And it was very disturbing and interesting. I was like, okay, what kind of character is this? And so what I did was I ended up making a I had started. I never really did anything with it beyond a few postings, but I made a blog, like a creative writing blog with that character, and I never named her. I kept the default name, so her name was Prisoner. So the title of the show, or the title of the story, was Prisoner, comma Breton, because that was the race she was. So it was Prisoner Breton. Was a really interesting time. I really love it. To this day, I still enjoy going to check it out online. It's still there. But what I did was I played as a character who I decided to just completely lean into immersion and play in character, and let the character take me where it would. So I was playing a character who. Oh, and not only that, I had the Did I have the random? No, I didn't have the random start. Um. Ooh, that's really cool. I like that, Malcolm. Playing the Soulsborne games like, uh, like a cohesive character. That's neat. Um, so I played a character that. Oh no, I did. Okay, so what I had was I had a mod on Skyrim that randomly placed you in a location. It had you start in a random spot. And I love that mod. It is one of my favorite mods for Skyrim. Completely opens you up to different narrative directions. You don't have to do the main storyline, and you can still exist in that world and play with all the sub. Sorry about that. Just didn't want to yawn in the microphone. Uh, so anyway, the character was put in a random place, and I said, I am going to just play as if I'm this character, and I'm going to write a narrative as I go. And so what happened was I got teleported, and I started my story in a like at an altar where there were bodies, and it was like a sacrificial altar. And so I came up with this whole narrative where she woke up underneath a bunch of bodies, and just sort of woke up to the sounds of a voice calling to her. And so what ended up happening was, she didn't remember anything about herself. She just woke up as this sort of sacrifice to something, but she kept hearing these voices, and I decided they were the gods, specifically the demon lords, and the gods talking to her. And so the point of her journey was to reach every temple that she could, and to seek out these voices that were leading her places and to do their bidding. And so she probably ended up with a lot of conflicting experiences, because she would just do what the gods told her to do. And so I had this really interesting idea. She's a conjuration person, and this idea of just her sheer loneliness and needing protection resulted in her conjuring a wolf. And so she sees this wolf as a companion, and it like physically hurts her, like painfully, emotionally, every time it goes away, because Skyrim is terrible, and when your spell ends, it sounds like a wolf died, and it's the saddest thing ever. So I played around with that a little bit. I only got, like I said, a few chapters into this story. I didn't get very far, but it was a very powerful exercise. I ended up with some very interesting narrative opportunities in it, and I really loved it. So that is a completely unintentional way of experiencing that game, to go, well, maybe not unintentional. I don't want to read into the intentions of the game developers in that way, but it was just really interesting and powerful. I very much appreciated that gameplay opportunity. I don't know why. I want to write a story about why these villagers insist on going dipping in the pool. This is my donkey and the mule. It's their mule baby. And there's not much really here. There's stuff. Oh, I guess I could show off my farm. So dungeon delving is another really great way to experience this game. Very nice, Malkath. I actually hadn't thought about that because the world of the Dark Souls and Bloodborne games are so immersive. Like, they're so dense. There's so much going on in the background that I don't know why it never occurred to me for someone to do that in a narrative way, to experience that in a in character way. I went the wrong direction. Yes, my spawner. Yeah, that's really, really cool. So yeah, I'm really fascinated. I don't know if I have the vocabulary for it, but I like to think I can articulate it a little bit. But yeah, this idea of building meaning into a character, or I did that a lot in Fallout, just being able to, I mean, that's why it is the best way to live out the acronym RPG. You know, it's, those games are, they don't always seem like they're role-play games. I think there's something to be said where people kind of think the trappings of a role-playing game are, you have an inventory and you have, you know, discussion trees and side quests and such. But games that give you a little bit of freedom to do what you want, even just a little, people will latch onto that. People will take that opportunity and run with it, and it's always fascinating to see what people will do with that. And in this case, I forgot we turned on poison. It's fine. Everything's fine. I don't have the thing I need. I'm just gonna hang out. It's fine. What do I do with a multi-shot crossbow? That would be fun. So yeah, it's okay. It's okay, Logan. Just, surprised. Oh, they have armor. I want this armor. Give me this armor. Excuse me. May I please have some of your armor? I would very much appreciate it. Maybe, sir? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a cool way to read that. I mean, the Dark Souls games all... okay. The Dark Souls games all feel, in this beautiful way, like you are in a world that has existed for a very long time, and you are not part of the story of this world. In the sense of, you're not even though you are placed in this role of hero, the nature of that world and the cyclical story that exists, just constantly returning to the same status quo, or even a different status quo, is still more of this cycle. Okay, Tessa, jazz hands are hard when you're in front of a bunch of poison spiders. Okay, so hold on, I'll get a trick shot off and then I'll do jazz hands. There, that felt like a trick shot. Yay. I'm gonna go collect those arrows in a minute. Okay, let's take those back, please. Excuse me. Can I have my arrow back? Or no, give me my sword. Jerk. Thank you for the... I shouldn't thank you. You spent channel points. That's nothing. That's not money. You didn't pay me for those jazz hands. So yeah, I kind of meandered off the point a little bit, but not by much. So anyway, Minecraft is a fun time, but I often find that because of its lack of narrative closure, it's not a but. Why did I say but? Its lack of narrative closure does something interesting. It never quite feels like you have to stop. You can people kind of fade in and out of being interested in it. People take breaks or just decide I'm bored. Like, for example, it had been about 10 years since I'd played Minecraft, maybe a little less, maybe 8. Oh, thank you. Paying yourself for the jazz hands. I see how it is. Anyway, yes, I am gonna be completely ungrateful for this entire scenario. It's my bit now. It's a bit. Sorry, me farming zombies is not gonna be very interesting stream content, but you know, people do more boring things on stream. I'm gonna collect some stuff. And one of the things, now that we have a situation where people have armor, or no, he turned it off. I should look up how to make a grindstone, because that's not how you spell anything. Grindstone needs a stone slab, planks, and sticks. I think I can make that work. Stone slabs. Excuse me. Slabs, and then I'll just go collect some planks and sticks. I lost my train a little bit. I'm also losing my voice a little bit. So, it's gonna be interesting. Zombie spawner here. Here's some planks. Oh god, mines are gonna be so much easier now. I upgraded my axe. So this is gonna make busting out pieces of a mine just a breeze. Because I use this a lot. I'm very often going through mines just for the equipment. Oh, this is new. Okay. Gonna mark this because I haven't gone down that way yet. Oh, hello, gold. How are you today? I would very much like to have you. So yeah, I don't have any idea if this was interesting or educational or eye-opening or anything like that, or maybe it was just commiserating, you know? Oh man, yeah, Bloodborne's a time. Yeah, it's interesting, the idea that Bloodborne's a harsher world than... It's certainly a more, a less hinged world. There's a sense of, sort of fantasy narrative going on, even though it kind of subverts some things, in Dark Souls. It's still got those trappings. Bloodborne is Lovecraftian. It's about people losing their minds because they're obsessed with getting the answers to something that is not meant for their brain to understand. So, yeah, it's fascinating. So we are running up against the against our hour. I know I ran longer today because I wanted to give you guys a full hour. I want to try to stick to that at least, even if the time isn't quite correct. But yeah, so let me part with a couple of thoughts. I wanted to ostensibly talk about the sort of more game design aspects of Minecraft and playing crafting games. But then I also wanted to maybe hit on a little slightly personal note that you know, things are rough. That's really interesting, Malkuth. I'll have to go look at that. So anyway, things are a little intense right now. And it can feel a little like not having a handle on things. And that can be really stressful to experience. And one of the things that is nice about games like this is that you can, I guess, disconnect a little bit, find something, impart, as we've said over and over today, impart a little meaning into your experience. I have found that, maybe for better or worse, playing Minecraft has allowed me to feel productive in an artificial way, and as I said, for better or worse, because I don't know if that's like the best thing in the world, but it's giving me a sense of my, and this is where it comes up. Yeah, it's just, it's helping my brain work through stuff when my brain can't handle it right now. You know, you're just kind of sitting around waiting for shoes to just constantly drop, and it can feel a little like you don't have any control, or you don't have any direction right now. And these kind of games not only provide a little bit of distraction, but allow you to utilize your brain a bit better, because rather than just sitting around and, I don't know, watching cartoons, eating too much snack food in an attempt to make yourself feel better, it feels like you're embracing the energy of creative expression, I guess. It's a little abstract, a little hokey, I guess. So I appreciate the fact that I can... Ooh, I need gunpowder. I appreciate the fact that I can hop in here and be... Oh, this is not going to work very well. And make a thing. There's just something nice about feeling like I can be of a little more use. It's the same impulse as Legos. It's play. It's play in a very pure form, and there's something really nice about being able to play a little. So that's pretty much what I got, you know? I don't have much else to say on the subject right now. I could probably talk more, but my throat is really starting to hurt. So I am going to do the other thing that I have been getting better about this week, which is I am going to clean up my house. I haven't been doing that lately, and decluttering my space allows me to feel... I heard something today that I thought was... It kind of hit the nail on the head for me about why I have a tendency to clean when I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed. If you can limit the overwhelm that comes from external sources, so your space, for example, you can mitigate that taking over your reservoir of brain capacity. You can get yourself into a slightly better headspace if you can get yourself feeling like your space is more in order. So that is what I plan to do for the next few hours. Oh, so sorry. All right, everybody. So So this is the Power Hour. I'm just gonna call this while I sleep. And I want to thank you guys. This was a weird one, but I want to feel like I can open myself up a little bit to be less stringent about what is technically the Power Hour. I want to get a little bit more into discussions of TTRPGs again, and some other creative work. Maybe do a little bit of crafting, things like that. I'm so sorry. Maybe I just need to take a nap. But as always, a little bit of a chat at the end. So this is the Power Hour. We are a part of Nerdsmith. If you haven't already hung out with us on Nerdsmith, please do so. We have our Discord server, which you can find the link to in our chat or underneath the video. And we are a collective, I guess. I don't know. We're a group of entertainers and content creators who make podcasts and live streams and all sorts of stuff. A lot of it centered around tabletop role-playing games and narrative storytelling. So we make a lot of content. We like to keep it free for you to access, but we do ask that if you like what you see, you please consider supporting us. You can find us at Patreon, patreon.com/nerdsmith, and you can look at some of the stuff we have there. We have bonus content for a lot of our shows, and maybe some flights of fancy in the future that we want to kind of keep for our fans. So please check us out there. We are also sponsored by two incredible companies that are run by incredible people. Die Hard Dice is a dice manufacturer and designer. They make plastic and metal dice, gorgeous metal dice. I have mine somewhere. They make their own designs in-house for their metal dice. I do have some. I found it. Can't really see it very well, but it's beautiful. This is a battle-worn gold. Very pretty. They also make dice accessories. And we are also sponsored by World Anvil, a campaign management software or website and community full of some amazing creative people, where you can create essentially a landing page and wiki for your campaign for your viewers. Two-person teams answering questions of all kinds while our audience donates money in order to fiddle with the questions to make things a little more interesting. So please check them out. If you follow us here on Twitch or on Twitter at We Are Nerdsmith, you'll get pinged when we go live, so you should check that out. And then on Friday, we have Nerdsmith Sings Our Heart Out, which is our Twitch Sings karaoke night, where a bunch of us, myself included, I MC that night while we sing karaoke for you on Twitch Sings, and you can donate to request songs off our set lists. Any money raised during Nerdsmith Sings Our Heart Out goes directly to our creators in the community that need it most, people who've lost employment or hours because of the COVID measures, the quarantining and stay-at-home measures. A lot of people have lost their income, so we're trying to support some of those creators in our creator community who need it the most, and that stuff goes directly to them and not just to support the network and allow us to run this. So thank you so much, and I loved hanging out with you guys. So please have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Have a beautiful week. I'll see you next week, and please do me a favor and be good to each other. All right, bye-bye.